Hi, my friends. Today I want to present you a new story. Enjoy watching it.
The dining room glowed with the warmth of 100 tiny lights woven around the chandelier. Crystal glasses chimed, silverware gleamed, and laughter rolled easily from my brother Spencer's lips, as though the world had been designed solely for his amusement. I adjusted the sleeve of my simple navy dress, painfully aware of how small it looked next to my mother's pearls and Spencer's custom-tailored suit. My laptop bag, stuffed with 7 years of research, rested beside my chair like a quiet secret. Father cleared his throat. He didn't need to ask for attention. He commanded it. "Ophelia," he began, swirling the deep red of his merlot, "there's a matter regarding your research." My fork paused halfway to my mouth. "What about it?" He slid a document across the polished table. "The board and I have decided. Luminicore is selling your research to Helixin Dynamics. They're offering $3.4 million. It's settled." My breath caught. Selling my life's work? "You can't," I whispered, voice cracking. "We're close, so close to a breakthrough. The nanobots are stabilizing. They can repair tissue, cell by cell. Don't you understand what that means?" Spencer smirked, raising his glass. "It means we can finally stop pretending your basement toys are worth something. Imagine, Father, no more embarrassing progress reports." A sharp sting rose in my chest. Embarrassing? I've devoted every hour of my life to dreams, Father interrupted coldly. Dreams don't keep companies alive. Profits do. Spencer's innovations bring in revenue. Yours bleed money. My mother dabbed delicately at her lips, not meeting my eyes. "Darling, perhaps it's time to think practically." The words struck harder than any slap. I blinked rapidly, fighting tears that burned hot behind my eyes. "Practically?" I managed. "You're selling 7 years of my life's work for the price of a penthouse apartment, for pocket change." Spencer leaned back, satisfied. "At least you'll finally learn where you belong." I clenched my napkin, knuckles white. The chandelier above blurred as my eyes welled. This wasn't just betrayal, it was dismissal. The people meant to shield me had stripped me bare instead, reducing my dreams to ink on paper and mocking laughter. And yet, in that moment of despair, something flickered deep inside me, an ember refusing to die. This dinner would not be the end of my story, it would be the beginning. The morning after that dinner, I sat at my cluttered desk, staring at the pile of abandoned research notes. My eyes stung from a sleepless night replaying Father's words, Spencer's smirk, Mother's silence. It felt as though they had ripped the very marrow out of me. The hum of my computer broke the silence. A notification blinked on the corner of the screen, an email from an unfamiliar address. Dr. Harland Keats, Stanford Biotech Institute. My hands trembled as I clicked it open. "Ophelia, I've followed your published fragments on nanobot tissue repair. You're on the cusp of something monumental. We must talk before you take action anything. This technology is worth billions, and to be more precise, $2.7 billion. The words blurred through my tears. Billions? I whispered it aloud, barely breathing. The bitterness from last night rushed back like a wave. They hadn't just dismissed me. They had tried to erase me. My phone buzzed. "Spencer." Against better judgment, I answered. "Well, little genius," his voice dripped mockery. "Heard Father's paperwork is nearly finalized. Guess the fantasy's over." I clenched the phone tighter. "You'll regret this. You have no idea what you're selling." He chuckled. "Correction, you have no idea. Some people are dreamers, some are doers. You're the first." The line went dead. I buried my face in my hands, torn between despair and a fierce, rising fire. For the first time in years, I wasn't just protecting research. I was protecting myself, my name, my future. I drafted a reply to Dr. Keats, fingers flying. "Please, tell me everything. Now I won't let them destroy this." When I hit send, I knew the world had shifted. Their betrayal had opened a wound, yes. But this message had sown the seed of my revenge. 2 days later, the conference room of Luminicore felt colder than any laboratory I had ever worked in. Father sat at the head of the table, his tie perfectly knotted, his expression carved from stone. Spencer lounged to his right, a grin tugging at his lips as if he already owned the future. Father's voice was sharp. "Ophelia, the deal with Helixin Dynamics is nearly closed. Your research will finally serve the company's profit instead of your Fantasies. My pulse hammered in my throat. I stood sliding a slim folder across the table. Then perhaps you should read this before you hand away what you never owned. Spencer snorted. What now? Another scribbled formula? No, I said, my voice steady, though my hands trembled. These are the official patent approvals. 9 in total. Registered in my name, funded through grandfather's trust. Your sale is worthless. For your information, these 9 patent projects are valued at $21 billion. For a moment, silence swallowed the room. Father's face drained of color. Spencer leaned forward, his smirk faltering. That's impossible, Father muttered. The board controls. Read the bylaws. I interrupted, my throat tightening with both rage and sorrow. Clause 17b. Any attempted misappropriation of proprietary research transfers majority ownership to the principal inventor. That's me. I'd own Luminicor now. Tears burned behind my eyes as I looked at the man who had raised me. You tried to erase 7 years of my life, Father. Do you know what it feels like to be betrayed not by rivals, but by blood? He stared at me, speechless. Spencer lunged for the folder, but I pulled it back. Touch it, and you'll answer to the FBI. You've already crossed into espionage. In that moment, power shifted. The empire they had tried to strip from me now belonged to the very daughter they called a dreamer. And for the first time, I saw fear flicker in their eyes. The elevator descended far beneath Luminicor's glossy headquarters, deeper than anyone but I knew existed. My heart pounded as the metal doors slid open, revealing the hidden sanctuary I had poured my soul into, the Nanosphere Project. Rows of glass chambers glowed softly, filled with the hum of machines no larger than grains of dust, yet capable of rebuilding life at the molecular level. Former colleagues, scientists my father had discarded, looked up as I entered. Their eyes lit with recognition, and for the first time in years I felt home. Dr. Lin rushed forward, tears brimming. You kept it alive. After everything they did to us? I swallowed hard. I didn't just keep it alive. I made it stronger. And now we fight back, not with revenge, but with innovation. At my signal, a chamber lit up. Inside, millions of nanobots synchronized in perfect harmony, repairing a strand of damaged protein before our eyes. Gasps filled the room. This, I whispered, voice breaking, is the cure for diseases they called incurable. This is what my family tried to sell for scraps. Dr. Lin clasped my hands, her voice trembling. Do you realize what this means? Cancer, degenerative diseases. We could end suffering itself. Tears blurred my vision. That's why they'll never own it. This belongs to humanity, not to greed. Behind me, Spencer's mocking laughter replayed in my memory, but now it only fueled me. They thought me weak, a dreamer drowning in impossible visions. Yet here stood the impossible, alive, breathing, working. I raised my head to the team. Today, Nanosphere awakens. Tomorrow, the world will never be the same. And for the first time since that cruel dinner, I wept. Not from despair, but from the weight of hope. The boardroom was silent when the FBI agents escorted Spencer away for industrial espionage, stealing projects and developments from scientists and appropriating them for oneself. His face, once smug with mockery, was now pale and twisted with panic. My father sat hunched in his chair, stripped of authority, his retirement announced in a single clipped sentence. Mother, her hands trembling, whispered, Ophelia, I never imagined it would come to this. I met her eyes, pain pressing against my chest. Neither did I, but you watched them break me and you stayed silent. Tears rolled down her cheeks. I was weak, I see that now. If you let me, I want to stand with you. Even if it's only as your mother again, not your judge. I couldn't speak. I only nodded because forgiveness was a mountain I wasn't ready to climb, but perhaps someday. Later, in the nanosphere chamber, I stood before the glowing machines. My team surrounded me, their faces lit with hope. This is no longer about betrayal, I told them softly. It's about healing, of bodies, of lives, perhaps even of families. The hum of the nanobots rose like a hymn. For the first time, I felt the weight of ashes lifting and the dawn breaking through. The future, my future, had finally arrived. Year later, when Nanosphere's first patients walked again, when children once bound by disease ran free in hospital gardens, I visited my grandfather's grave. I laid a single white rose on the stone and whispered, "They tried to steal it. But you were right, vision is stronger than greed." My voice shook, yet my heart was steady. I was no longer the daughter silenced at a holiday table, but the woman who had turned betrayal into dawn. As the wind stirred the leaves, I felt his presence like a quiet blessing, and for the first time I let myself believe, not only in the future I had built, but in the healing of my own soul.
Friends, what do you think of this story? Write your opinion in the comments. Would you like more stories? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button so you don't miss any videos. See you tomorrow.